Hello everyone, my name's Kyle, and today I'll be talking about how the world is my home. So I'm going to start this off with a parable that I had first been told about a year or two ago. So it's in the woods, and there is a squirrel sitting on a tree next to a bird. And the squirrel looks at the bird and says, "You know what? I'm the happiest animal in all of the woods because I get to run around, gather all the food that I want. I can be up trees, I can be down trees, I can hibernate in the winter, I can do as I please." And the bird says, "Well, no, I must be the happiest animal in all of the forest because I have wings, I can fly where I want. I'm not bound by space. I can be on the other side of this, entire ecosystem if I felt like it." And there's a butterfly sitting next to them, and the butterfly speaks up and says, "Well, no, I must be the happiest because when I'm a caterpillar, I can forage around, move things, and explore the world. And then when I become a butterfly, I can fly around and be bound by nothing." And this conversation ensues for a little while, and after a little bit of time, all of the animals in the forest are in an outrage because they think they're the happiest. So they have this huge referendum where they have the smartest of all creatures in the forest see over it. So they have Solomon the owl come up and decide who is the happiest animal in all of the woods, because after all, Solomon is the smartest. So Solomon takes the stage and he says, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you, friends, but none of you are the happiest animals in the forest." And they all rage into this cacophony, shouting, "How could you say that? One of us must be the happiest. Who even let him here? He's wrong." And Solomon the owl says, "No, I'll tell you who's the happiest. It's the turtle." And he's so happy he didn't even have to show up today, because whenever the turtle is somewhere and he doesn't feel like being there, he just pulls his arms and legs and head back into the shell, and instantly he's home. How many other animals in this forest can say that they are always home? Because you need to go back to your nest or your burrow or your kin to be at home. But the turtle is always at home because they're always in their shell. Now, as you go through life, you kind of start to realize that the values that people have are mostly subject to where they were born. So if you are like me and you were born in the West, then a lot of your value systems come from the almighty dollar that we worship. Where if you were born in the East, you would respect and honor on a higher level because that's just how you were culturally developed. Now, because we have these things that are culturally specific, it creates a lot of fragmentations. And the problem is when these fragmentations that we have that create conflict arise out of things like money, which is an abstraction of the world. Because in the event you weren't aware of this, Western banking systems typically don't have money actually, or gold, as we like to assume, back their money, because we work on this fractional reserve system. So a lot of money is kind of just made up, and it's this abstraction of the world. Past that, a dollar is not this physical item. Nobody wants to have a dollar. It does not have an intrinsic value. And it's because we have all of these complications in the world that arise out of these abstract ideas that the global conflicts that we have not only become more intertangled because of globalization, but they become harder to justify because they are these huge abstractions of reality. So as humanity goes forward, we need to start looking backwards with an ever watchful eye, because we need to start going back to our original base concepts and ask ourselves, what is good and what is bad? Now, a lot of laws and morality that we get comes from religion, and all of the religious books have the same basic idea where they say, "Hey, I'm the good book, I tell you how to be good." Similar to how a cookbook says, "Hey, I'm a cookbook, I tell you how to cook." Now, if cookbook A says, put your item in the oven at 425 degrees, and cookbook B says, put your item in the oven at 450 degrees, we don't go around persecute and murder people over that. Yet with the good book, which tells you how to be good, it takes one small part of how to be good and we flip out as a society and start persecuting and marginalizing other people over this one small facet of how to be good. So most of your religious beliefs really come down to where you were born, because it's due to perspective. So if you've ever seen the movie The Life of Brian by Monty Python, there's this one scene where the shoe gets dropped and instantly a bunch of religions start to spring out of the shoe being dropped based on different perceptions of where you were. And there's people saying, oh man, we need to all take our shoes off, or people saying collect all the shoes, and other people saying it has nothing to do with shoes at all. And that's how it works with religion, because in my opinion, the Tao Te Ching is the most accurate religious text on this planet. Because one of the things the Tao Te Ching points out is that our religious message, which they call the Way, which is their concept of God or, liberation, it exists within all religions, just in a different sense. So when they say the Way, they mean the everything, the God. And they say the way that can be spoken of is not the way that exists. It is like a finger pointing at the moon. You should not mistake the finger or the religious text pointing at the moon for actually being the moon. And it's for this reason that Dionysius, the Syrian monk, a couple hundred years ago was translating religious texts, and he coined the term agnosia, which turns into agnosticism today. And agnosia means the dark side of knowledge, which directly correlates with the idea that all religions have in common, which is that if there is a God or some type of creator, it has these three qualities. Quality 1 is it's omniscient, quality 2 is it's omnipotent, and quality 3 is it's omnipresent. So that means if we believe that there is a God overarching between all the religions, it's going to be everywhere, know everything, and have all power. So if we are to say that any one religion is correct, then this directly goes against these fundamental concepts that exist everywhere. Because if we are to say we know all about God and God knows everything, it cannot be in that text. Because what religious book talks about non-Euclidean geometry or talks about the human cardiovascular system? None of them do. They are just the good book. They tell you how to be good. So even if people around you aren't your immediate family or your biological family, I can tell you that from my experience working with taxes and helping people with the government, that there are a lot of people that don't know what the standard idea of a family is, because the world has started to fracture and move around into these very complicated sets of ideas, because the idea of a family is an abstraction of the world itself. So if you believe in the biological evolution, with Darwinism or the Adam and Eve creation story, then you have to believe that we all come back from this, genetic root, and that we are all actually one giant family, just maybe removed a couple generations. So as we keep going forward, we need to be looking back continuously at these ideas to see that if the whole experience of life is actually your home, and every creature in it is your family, then you should treat everyone with the same respect and passion you do with your mother and father and brother. Thank you for watching.